Hello and welcome back to Off The Crossbar Euros Watch Day 14 with myself, Regan Walsh, and it's a little bit different today as it is video format as I am on my own with Brad being away busy, but he will be back for a review of today's games tomorrow, so don't worry too much. So we have had the start of the last 16 in the Euros, and Wales played Denmark and Italy, Austria. Now, Italy-Austria was an absolute great game for the full 120 minutes, but we'll get onto that in a minute or two. We'll start off with Wales versus Denmark. That took place over in the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam, and what a game it was for the Danish. Absolutely dominated Wales from minute 1 to minute 90. Absolutely class performance from them. Wales did have a few chances themselves throughout the game, but never really tested Kasper Schmeichel. However, for Gareth Bale and co, it wasn't to be as they ended up losing 4-0 to Denmark. Kasper Dolberg scored a brace as he came into the lineup for Denmark. It was obviously a change that worked for the Danish side, and many people were, I think, a bit surprised that he started, but it was proven right that he was the right choice to start, and yeah, very good move there by the Danish. And yeah, they just, once that first goal went in after 27 minutes, it just carried on going for the rest of the game. They just purely dominated, and they looked more likely to score than Wales ever did in that game. Bale, he got into some good positions out on the wing for Wales, but it was just that final third product for Wales that just was missing for them, and it was always going to be a tough ask, as we said on the preview show that came out on Friday. Wales were in against a tall order. They had every chance to go through, but I always said it was going to be something very tough for them because, I think Denmark, they've become the nation's favourite. Everyone is loving to see them doing well in this tournament, obviously after what happened with Christian Eriksen. And yeah, they just turned up another gear. And then second half, Dolberg scored again. Again, lovely piece of work by himself. And then the rest of the second half, they just dominated. Wales had one or two chances, but like I said, nothing really tested Kasper Schmeichel in goal. And then 2 minutes from time, Joachim Mæhle scored a goal. Again, beautiful goal from Mæhle. And then chaos just descended upon Wales as Harry Wilson was sent off, straight red card. A little bit egregious he could be towards that one. I mean, it was obviously a foul by Wilson, but whether it was actually a red card, it's something that could be debated. I mean, he does foul Mæhle, but even the commentary, they were saying it's a very soft one and don't think it was necessarily a red card, but he was given his marching orders, and then Bale commits a foul in stoppage time and gets himself booked after he was sarcastically clapping the referee. And then to seal it off, Martin Braithwaite scored a goal which had been initially judged as offside, but the goal stands, and yeah, Denmark go through to the quarterfinals. Good win for the Danish, thoroughly deserved, like I said a load of times now. And yeah, for their quarterfinal tie, they will travel to Baku on the 3rd of July, where they'll face the winner of the Netherlands versus the Czech Republic, which is set to be a very good game later on today. Now to the second game, Austria versus Italy, that took place at Wembley Stadium. Wow, what a game. So Marco Verratti continued in the lineup for Italy instead of Manuel Locatelli. There was no Chiellini for Italy, so Acerbi continued in defence along with Bonucci. But apart from that, the majority of the Italy squad has been the same as it has been throughout the whole tournament. Austria themselves, again, they kept pretty much the same 11 as far as I'm aware from their previous games. And yeah, it was Italy thoroughly dominated that first half. Were unlucky not to score. Charo Immobile had a good chance after half an hour, but his shot went just over. And yeah, I'd say at half time, you would have said on paper, looking at it, the chances that Italy had created, they would have definitely had the upper hand and could have won that game quite easily, been 2-3-0 up at half time, but were very unfortunate not to be. And then I was thinking, when it got to half time, this can either go one or two ways in the second half. Italy will continue to dominate and will eventually break down the Austria defence, or Austria will grow into the game and put the pressure on Italy. And they certainly did in that second half, made it a lot more difficult for Italy. They had chances galore, and yeah, it was very, very good second half. Austria did think they'd scored though just after the hour mark. Marko Arnautovic heads it past Donnarumma, and the goal was given as offside for Arnautovic, but it's a correct call, completely right decision. He was offside, and yeah, again, within the next 10-15 minutes, again, they continued to put on the pressure, but then so did Italy at both ends. So full time came around, finished 0-0 after the regular 90, so we had our first extra time of the tournament, and within the first 5 minutes, Federico Chiesa put Italy 1-0 up after a great piece of work, and volleyed it past Dan Bachmann and the side netting, and yeah, it was just easy for the Italians there on afterwards, because just at the end of first half extra time, they doubled their lead. Pessina again scoring for Italy, and yeah, it was just game over then when it got to half time, because you saw Italy just turn into that next gear, and Austria just seemed to have tired legs about them. And in the second half again, Italy dominated it more. They had a few chances to score again, but didn't capitalise on any of their chances. And then 6 minutes from time, Austria themselves got a chance from a set piece, and they scored it with Sasa Kalajic scoring from a header. However, I've just got to say, despite having a wonderful tournament so far, Jorginho of Chelsea was absolutely poor, because if he stays on the post where he is at the time when that goal goes in, the goal doesn't go in, and Italy win that game 2-0, and they keep up their long streak of games without conceding a goal. However, obviously that result doesn't matter for Italy, as they have progressed through to the quarterfinals, where they will travel to Munich on the 2nd of July, where they'll face the winner of Belgium versus Portugal, which is obviously set to be a great game later on today. Yeah, Austria, though, they can leave this tournament with their heads held high, because they were absolutely phenomenal in this game. And yeah, admittedly, I did think it'd be a lot easier for Italy, but it didn't turn out to be that way, and credit to Austria for putting it to them for the full 90 minutes. Right, time to look at today's games, and the Netherlands take on the Czech Republic first from the Puskás Arena in Budapest. Netherlands obviously were fantastic in their group, won all 3 games, scored 8 goals, conceded only 2. Obviously, the likes of Jorginho Wijnaldum, Memphis Depay, Denzel Dumfries have been the standout players for De Boer's side so far in this tournament. However, they haven't really came up against too hard of opponents. I mean, Ukraine and North Macedonia, as well as Austria. Austria did make it a little bit harder for them, but they still got the result, and only conceded 2 goals in that opening game against Ukraine. And meanwhile, the Czech Republic in their group finished third in a group of England, Scotland and Croatia. 4 points. Not really played the best. I mean, they got the result against Scotland, and then drew with Croatia, which wasn't really the most entertaining games, and then they lost to England in their last group stage. Again, not really entertaining there, but yeah, I mean, they definitely have the threats. I mean, we've said it a million times now, as we have looked ahead to each game. You look at the likes of Thomas Souček, Patrick Schick, Matej Vidra can come off the bench and do something. Adam Hojlek has done okay for them. So there is definite positives in this Czech Republic side, but you've got to look more towards the Netherlands, where you've got to say they're definitely the favourites considering how they've played so far in this tournament. You would say that the Dutch are definitely favourites heading into this game. They have met previously in games, and their last tie was back in October 2015 when the Netherlands were beaten 3-2 in a Euro 2016 qualifier. And they have lost their last 2 games against the Czech Republic, both coming in qualifying for the previous Euros, where obviously the Dutch failed to qualify. But I think this time round, the Dutch can definitely have themselves looking high and towards a quarterfinal for Frank de Boer's side, which would be very good stead for them considering obviously how they've done in the previous couple of tournaments. And now the big game, which is probably the first big game that we have to look forward to in this tournament, is Belgium versus Portugal, 8 o'clock from the Estadio Olímpico de la Cartuja in Seville. Belgium absolutely fantastic in their group, won all 3 games, scoring 7, conceding 1, obviously in a group of Denmark, Finland and Russia. De Bruyne, when he's came on in those last 2 games, has been absolutely fantastic. Lukaku's been in amongst the goals. Hazard's looked okay this tournament. He's played quite a bit. And yeah, I think this midfield battle of Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, if he comes back into the Portuguese lineup, Ruben Neves, Diogo Jota, Cristiano Ronaldo, Tielemans, like this whole game is just filled with superstars, and I think it's going to be an absolute cracking game. It's so hard to see who goes through because obviously Portugal have been heavily reliant on Cristiano Ronaldo this tournament, as he is the tournament's top goal scorer. But if they can get that little bit of something else from the rest of the team, whether Bruno Fernandes finally clicks in this Portugal team, Diogo Jota puts in some decent performances, then Portugal will maybe have a chance. But if Kevin De Bruyne plays like he has done in the last couple of games, I think it's going to be very hard for Portugal to stop this Belgium attack, who look really deadly heading forward and definitely are capable of scoring 1 or 2 goals. Obviously, Portugal, their last group game was very entertaining against the French, and that's obviously their group stages were some of the hardest teams they could possibly face, obviously France and Germany as well as Hungary in that group. So it was never going to be an easy ride for Portugal, but yeah, it's a very, very tightly contested game, and like we said, Belgium haven't really fought a team of the calibre of Portugal, Denmark, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Italy, England just yet. So this is going to be their first real test this tournament to see how well Roberto Martinez's side do actually get on. I think if I was to give a score prediction, I think I'd go with Belgium just to nick this one. I think it's going to be a close game. And then in terms of the other game, I think the Netherlands will win that quite comfortably as well. So to look back on our predictions, we both had Italy winning their game, and I believe we also had Denmark also going through as well. Yes, managed to find it. Denmark and Italy both going through, so that's good for both me and Brad in that terms. And yeah, Netherlands and Belgium are my 2 teams for today's games. Right, that is all the Euro stuff roundup. Transfer news, there hasn't been much in terms of the big teams. Manchester United is still trying to work on a deal to sign Jadon Sancho. PSG are still trying to sign Ashraf Hakimi. Manchester City are still trying to sign Harry Kane, and there were some rumours that came out after we put our show live on Friday that they wanted to sign Jack Grealish, and then there was some rumours like 2-3 hours later that Grealish was going to sign a new contract with the Villa, so that's going to be one that's up in airs. In terms of the managerial front, Spurs still looking for Jose Mourinho's replacement. Everton are reportedly set to appoint Rafa Benitez as manager later on this week, and Crystal Palace were close to signing Lucien Favre, but he had a last minute change of heart and will not be joining Palace, and instead they are going to have to look somewhere else. Obviously, make sure you're following us on Twitter at OffTCPod so you never miss out on any of the transfer updates and who will become the new managers of these clubs and all the stuff throughout the Euros where after each game we'll tell you what that result implies and who will then play who. Obviously, tomorrow's games we've already told you the implications of who they'll play. So we'll be back on Monday to wrap up today's action and look ahead to the games that we have on Monday. Until then, make sure you like, comment and subscribe, turn on post notifications, and like I said, make sure you're following us on Twitter for all the updates regarding the Euros and transfers and stuff. Until then, we'll see you soon.